Hello friends, we just got done reviewing a Venom figure, so now we get to see Carnage, who is part of the Venom line. Even though the Build-A-Figure is Venom Pool, not Venom, and this isn't the movie Venom logo, it's... I don't know, this is the Venom line, and Carnage is a new figure. Let's take a look.
Cassidy is gone. There is only Carnage!
Well, here is Carnage, and the coolest thing about this guy, well, there are two things about the sculpt that are super cool, actually. All the little black parts of the tendril sculpted on, and then like tendrils themselves like that extend out also there, and they're kind of rubbery, and they're kind of like separate pieces that are glued in here there, but they're integrated very well. You don't even notice that they're separate, and like, wow, is that a cool looking Carnage overall. Now the head, well, the sculpt on it does look like Carnage, like from what I remember. I don't know what this big swirly thing is, and I don't know, maybe the back of the packaging has a good bio that'll, well, what's the bio on this guy say? Twisted criminal Cletus Cassidy sows chaos in the streets and is the bloodthirsty villain Carnage. Yeah, that's the Carnage I remember from the cartoon, but I don't remember having the swirl in his head. I don't know what that's about, but the rest of the sculpt on the head, so cool looking. Thankfully it comes with an alternate head, which we'll look at later when we get to accessories, but I love the jaggedy teeth, and I love the tendrils that are all sculpted on. It's so cool. Just holding this guy feels so cool, and then I love it. I'm glad these things are rubber, because they don't really get in the way of you, like, actually holding and playing with the figure, and then kind of weird that, like, the feet have toes that are kind of like claw-like. It's almost like the movie Venom, but like sort of a compromise between like what a movie Carnage might be and the comic book Carnage that we know. But it's a really cool design, I think. And gosh, even looking at the red parts underneath the black sculpted lines, like there's these little lines that are like muscle fibers. Like look at these straight lines on the red underneath. The sculpt on this guy is just fantastic. And of course, he's got like claws, which are very rubbery, like you can really move those fingers and get great distance, but I think the sculpt is pretty top notch. I just don't really like the spiral here, but I'm sure it's accurate to whatever comic or source material they drew this guy from. Paint's also pretty top notch. Like I said, all those black tendrils on his body sculpted, and they missed the sculpt like in hardly any spots. Like, I think, where is it? Like there's there on the shoulder, like there's a little bit to see the sculpted line, and like what's painted, it doesn't quite cover all of it. So same thing right here, like this little shoulder here, like it looks like parts where there's like joints, like there's definitely the black part is sculpted. You see it raised there, and it's not part of like the muscle tendons that are part of the red underneath, but it's just not painted black, and like, but it's so few and far in between. Like I'm looking for other spots and they're barely there, and then like when they do paint them, they're pretty spot on. Oh, look, the tricep right there, like is that kind of off the mark, I guess? That doesn't matter. It's like hardly noticeable. And I don't really care if it's so forgivable, honestly, and like they've done a spectacular job getting it. Like 99% of the figure is perfect on the paint, and they didn't skip out either. Like they got the black tendrils painted and sculpted on the hands, on the feet, underside of the feet have the toes painted black. The paint is just excellent on this guy, and then the head, the white parts are pretty clean. The spiral design, I guess, is supposed to look like that. I'm assuming it's pretty clean. And then he has this black fade from the black part of the face to the red part, which I don't get. Like Carnage's face is like a different color than the rest of his body, because like Venom has a black body, black face, pretty simple, and like Carnage is like, I got a red body with this pattern on it kind of thing, and like my face will just be black for some reason. I don't know, I don't get it. And his teeth are like part of his face instead of, teeth. But that's his design, and it's pretty cool. I also like the little fade there. The jaw being red right here sticks kind of out a lot. Like it's a big contrast, the bright red there and the faded red right above it. But other than that, paint on the head's pretty great. Paint's pretty perfect on the body. Anything that's missed is totally forgivable. Amazing paint job. For articulation, of course, Carnage has a ball joint head, and thankfully, unlike the Venom figure, it's on a hinge, which means he can look really far up, to the point where there's this crazy gap between his jaw and his neck, which doesn't make any sense. But he's an alien, so I guess it could be done. And then he can look pretty far down, too. Actually pretty far. That's like as far as he could possibly go. Like his jaw is hitting his chest there. And then he's got the little mushy jaw type thing, because it's a separate piece, just like Venom had. But that's understandable. And side to side, all the way around, not bad on the head. Hinge and swivel elbows on butterfly joints. They can go so far forward, so far back. I wish the range was a little bit better, but they're integrated into the sculpt very well, and they're even painted in there, so I can't complain too much. They go so far up, all the way around, swivels at the bicep, double elbows, which they probably could have gotten away with a single hinge, but I'm thankful Hasbro keeps giving us the double elbows on everybody. And then he's got hinge and swivel wrists. It's a little mushy moving them because the fingers are so mushy and they get in the way a bit, but I mean, you got good range there. There's no diaphragm joint like Venom, but he's got this ab crunch that also has spectacular range. Going forwards, at least. I mean, going backwards is kind of like, well, I guess he's arching a little bit back. Swivel waist, unlike Venom, which is good. And then he's got ball hips, which go so far up and a little further back than Venom did, but not really that far back. And cuts at the thighs to go all the way around. Double knees. And then cuts at the shins, even though he's not a boot-wearing character, which, we don't see too often. So that is nice. And hinge and pivot. Ankles. Really good range on those. I can't think of anything I could have added for articulation, maybe like a diaphragm joint, but I mean the ab joint that's there gets the range enough. Maybe like articulated jaw, but I mean, it's like this nitpicking has to stop. His articulation's amazing. So his packaging, we saw earlier in the intro, is kind of strangely says Venom down there, even though this is Carnage, not Venom, and it's not the Venom line. I don't understand, but there's cool comic book artwork on the sides. So I guess this is like an ultimate Carnage, because it's like, comes with Miles Morales in the wave also, who looks like he's like been possessed by Carnage, and I don't remember Venom, or not Venom, Carnage, I don't remember having like the swirl on his head that we talked about earlier, but whatever. I mean, he got some cool purple mist, which I guess is not blood like Venom figure had, and same comic book artwork on this side. Anyways, let's open her up. Now that should look a bit more familiar, sort of spiderweb logo, but it also looks like a cracked wall, kind of. I don't know. It's a weird insert art. We'll pull this out here. Yeah, it's not quite clearly a spiderweb like a lot of other Spider-Man characters get, and there's this weird like black goo down here, which I guess is supposed to be a symbiote, even though Carnage's symbiote is mostly red. Whatever. Packaging's pretty good. We can kind of just pop Carnage up. You gotta be careful because his tendrils, like on the backpack, will kind of like poke through the little holes in the back, but they just also pop out of the figure, so no biggie. And that's also his first accessory, the tendril backpack kind of thing, which I'm not sure how much of it is an accessory really, or how much of it's like meant to be like attached there permanently. Like he's got a hump on his back, and like it's cool to have like tendrils in the front, but then you got a little hump on the back, and like, I don't know. I consider this an accessory. It's good. It matches the rest of the body. Pops in and out pretty easy, but I'm not going to keep it attached most of the time. Then Carnage thankfully comes with this, his alternate head, which looks like the traditional Carnage head, which I'm going to keep on for the rest of the review, and I'm so glad Marvel included this, or Marvel, Hasbro, but I mean, like, finally, that is a real Carnage figure. Like, that's what I remember from the Spider-Man cartoon. That's so much better. And last up, he gets this alternate head, which is not an alternate head, but Bill figure part. It's the head of Deadpool, Venom, and Zeus, Venom Pool, that's what he's called, is a Venom Pool. Deadpool possessed by the Venom symbiote. Got some nice sculpt work on there. Like, look up close. There's real texture in the mask there, and like, wow, they painted those little stitches cleanly. Why can't we get this kind of quality work on other figures? But I mean, I guess if you want, you can technically make it like a Venom alternate head, and now he looks like a Piranha Man. Well, why does Venom Pool look like he's got a Piranha head? I don't know, but I mean, Carnage pretty much just gets this and the backpack for accessories, which I don't care about this, and I don't care about this, but this I'm real glad they included. Would have been nice to get some alternate hands, but I think the accessories are decent enough. Scale time, so Carnage stands at about 6.5 inches tall, or 16 centimeters. Here he is with the Marvel Legends Pizza Spider-Man, and the DC Classics Batman. I'm surprised he's a little shorter than both, actually. An old Toy Biz Carnage figure, which I gotta say holds up surprisingly well, and surprisingly tall compared to this guy. And the Venom figure we just reviewed, which is releasing alongside this Carnage, and even though it's kind of not in the same wave, it kind of is. They're both the Venom wave, I guess, or the Symbiote's wave, I don't know, but this guy's a little tall, and the scale like doesn't quite work, I think. Comic book Venom is pretty spot on, though, so that's good. So do I ultimately recommend this Carnage figure, friends? Well, heck yeah, I do. Even if you own some old ones, I mean, this just has such a cool sculpt that it's like the black sculpted all over him. He's just cool to hold, cool to look at. I don't really care for the head they included. They probably could have, done a bit better on the scale. That's the only real sticking point. Like, older Carnage figures were a little bit taller, so the scale might not work for you, but other than that, I totally recommend him. So until next time, peace out, YouTube.